Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crizzy Books. I'm Crizzy, or Chris, but only my homeboys call me Chris. And today I'm going to be doing a review for The Lord of the Rings Part 2, The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. And so we've come to Book 2 on my journey through the massive epic Lord of the Rings. If you've already watched my review over Fellowship, then you know that I had some gripes mostly about writing style, some of the characters feeling a little flat, and not a lot of emphasis or focus on the action. But overall, I still really enjoyed the book, and I was excited to continue the series. So let's see if the TTs, The Two Towers, is just as good or better than the Fellowship, shall we? In the TTs, we pick up right where we left off, not skipping a beat. Sam and Frodo have left the Fellowship. They're off to Mordor on their own. The rest of the Fellowship is fighting off orcs. Boromir dies literally within like 3 pages. Merry and Pippin are captured by the orcs who think that they are the hobbits that they're looking for. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas are on the hunt to try and get them back. They go through Rohan, where we meet the Rohirrim, who are really freaking cool, and Merry and Pippin, they survive and escape, and they team up with Treebeard and the Ents, who then take down Saruman. All the while, there's stuff going on with Rohan, and Saruman's army is marching on Helm's Deep, and we have the big battle at Helm's Deep, and I think that's it. And then on the Sam and Frodo side, we have them meeting up with Gollum and bringing him along for the journey, and just their trials and tribulations of making their way through, and all the things that they see and the people they encounter, like Faramir, who is really cool, and Shelob's lair, and all these really cool things. So I guess the big question for me was, is this book better than the first one? And I don't know. It's very different in tone. This one has a lot more going on in terms of the actual story really moving forward. A lot of stuff's happening. We're gearing up for war. This is kind of like the calm before the storm, even though there's not a whole lot of calm. There's a lot of new characters and new lore to explore. Lore galore. It's also very different in the way that it's told, because the first half of this is focused on Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Merry, and Pippin, and what's going on with them. And even those are kind of split up because they're not doing the same things. And then the second half of the book is Sam and Frodo and Gollum. And I really liked the way that these things were broken up, because they're happening simultaneously. And so it is cool to kind of read about one group doing their thing, and then we switch over to the other one and see what's happening with them. I liked the way that that was set up. It's very different from the first one. And we even get a little bit of an insight and story on the orcs and the Uruk-hai, and I really enjoyed that. It was interesting to me because they're these bad guys and portrayed as like these horrible, grotesque beings who are bloodthirsty and will kill each other. And they are all those things, but you don't think of them as having brains or being able to communicate very well, and they absolutely can. In terms of all the new characters, I enjoyed so many of them. I like Treebeard and the Ents, the people we meet in Rohan, especially Theoden and Éomer. Like I said before, Faramir, I really like Faramir. I think especially compared to Faramir in the movies, I like him way more in the books. I think he's given a lot more time, and he just seems like a nicer, gentler person than his brother. So it was really cool to get just a little bit more of that. But one character outshines all of them in this, and that is Gollum. Like I said, my biggest gripe with the first book was that all of the characters feel very much the same in the way that they talk. Every person is just very kind of flat in tone. Basically, there's not much to discern each one. You have to kind of do that yourself. But Gollum does. He speaks in his own way. He has a split personality. He very much has his own thing. I really liked how different he felt, and that there was more emphasis on just this weird little creature man. It really helps set him apart from everyone, and I think that he is easily one of the more standout characters in this. And then aside from him, Sam is also developed quite well, And he is definitely becoming my favorite of the bunch. I mean, when we reference the movies, I think that Sam is probably the best character. And I think that the same is proving to be true for the book. Sam is great. But much like the first book, Tolkien just cannot help himself. He spends so much time talking about hills and valleys and mountains and streams, and so much less time talking about like the main point of this entire book, which is like preparing for war and the little battles and fights that are happening leading up to that. He just doesn't really seem too concerned at all about like making those things more exciting and spending more time with them, which is a shame. And maybe I'm being a little unfair, or it sounds like I'm, maybe being a little harsh, because there is a lot of fun stuff in here that I didn't think was bad or boring. I liked the Ents March on Isengard a lot. Shelob's Lair was great. Some parts of Helm's Deep, I'll say, were like decent, but overall I felt kind of meh about it. I think that is something that the movie did a lot better and made way more exciting, way more epic. I can't forget about Wormtongue. I don't get it. I didn't think that he was built up enough for me to really take seriously as a threat. He's kind of just there. Gandalf shows up and knocks him back and is like, all right, get out of here. And then he squirms away off to Isengard with Saruman. For this guy who's been helping to take over Rohan and keep Theoden from being able to do his duty, we don't get much about him. He just felt really underdeveloped and kind of a waste of a character. And like I said, I think the main theme of this one is just this looming war that everybody knows is coming and what that means to everyone in this land. And there's a lot of talk about, rising up and a call to action. There's a lot of talk of these characters about, well, we have to fight. We don't necessarily want to. And it does seem like this might end badly for everybody, but if we do nothing, complacency is going to get us into a whole lot more trouble than not fighting. I'd rather die than live in that kind of a world. And there's a lot of talks about like old memories resurfacing. Theoden talks about the Ents and how they used to be more of a thing, talked about in Rohan, but it's been so long since they've been around that those stories have kind of faded. And now that war is kind of ramping up, they're being brought back into memory. That was really interesting, how you can kind of, these really horrible things will bring a lot of people together and they create this new type of history and alliances and stories that get passed on for a long time, but eventually they fade off. And it's kind of sad. Overall, I'm going to give The Two Towers 4 out of 5. Same as the first one. I thought this was still very good. I very much enjoyed it, just as much as the first. I don't know if it's better. I think at this point I'm going to say that I still like Fellowship more. This was just a lot of build up, so I think that Return of the King is going to go out with a huge bang, and I'm pretty excited to get that one finished and to just see how this ends. I mean, I know how it ends, but to see how it actually ended originally. This was fun. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of new characters that I really like, a lot of new locations and fighting and very cool epic stuff. And moving the story very much forward. I mean, I feel like we're super close to this being completely done, but I still have the same gripes as the first one. And I mean, that's not surprising. At the end of the day, these weren't separate books. This is all one book split into 3 books. So it's not surprising that they're, written exactly the same. Still really liked it. What do you think? Have you read The Two Towers? Do you love it? Do you not love it? Sound off in the comments below. Be sure to like this video. Subscribe to my channel for more Lord of the Rings content. I've got one more book coming at you, so tons of Lord of the Rings content on the way. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.